In this video, I'm gonna break down how to buy your first rental property even if you're broke. I'm gonna be sitting down with Soma and she's gonna ask me a ton of questions about exactly how I would do it. Let's get into it.
And I'm gonna ask you a shit ton of questions, just random, about your experience with flipping houses, real estate, and also I'm gonna challenge your knowledge about real estate as well using ChatGPT.
All right, terrific.
Terrific. You ready?
Yep.
All right, question number 1. If you only had 30 days to flip a house, could you do it? And if so, how would you do it?
30 days to flip a house. It would be possible to be very, very tight on schedule. So typically the average project, you buy the house, renovation is like a month or two, then I rent it out, and then I sell them, right? So it's like typically like 4 to 5 months. The fastest deal that I ever did was around 90 days. So to flip a house in 30 days is going to be super, super quick, but
it could be like a cosmetic flip, right?
it could be a cosmetic flip. Well, most of my renovations are cosmetic anyways, but
And it still takes 90 days.
but still cosmetic renovations are $20,000 to $30,000.
Okay, so what would you do to get it done in 30 days? And what would the budget be then?
Well, so the goal to flip a house in 30 days, I would probably buy something off market, like literally just like clean it up a tiny little bit and then post it on the market.
Would you do carpet, paint still, and all that stuff?
No, you probably don't have that much time.
Really? Damn. Okay, well, maybe it's just not doable.
Carpet and paint, you can't do those things at the same time. So you got to
Wait.
you got to do the paint
Yeah.
and then you're going to replace the flooring after
So you would literally just get cleaners in and just clean the
You
floors.
would literally get cleaners in. I mean, you wouldn't have time to do any kind of renovation. I would also, if I had to do it in 30 days, I would buy something that I already had a buyer lined up for pretty much.
Okay.
So like if I knew somebody wanted Section 8 rentals, cool, I'd go call all my flip system clients and be like, hey, do you have a Section 8 rental? Great. Boom, I would take that and go sell it to somebody
That's actually
else.
pretty creative,
So that'd be like a 30-day flip, but
I don't
I'm not
think I
going to
would
make
classify it as a flip necessarily.
I'm not going to make that much money either. I think you're on a $100,000 house, you're probably going to make $5,000 or $3,000. You're not going to have enough time, because the thing is, if you don't do any renovations to a property, you're not going to be able to get the property to appraise. They're going to see it just sold and then it has to appraise again. So you only have a couple $1,000 in kind of margin to kind of play with.
Yeah. All right, question number 2. How would you buy your first rental property if you had bad credit? And can you even do it?
How would you buy your first rental property if you had bad credit? If I had bad credit, yes, you can. You just can't go through like the hard money or the conventional lenders. What you would have to do is raise private money. So I'd raise money from friends and family and neighbors and stuff like that. That's where I would get my funds from in order to get it done. So that's kind of what I would do is I would just, I wouldn't need any kind of credit. I would just leverage like other people's money.
Question number 3. How would you flip a property without seeing it in person?
Well, every single deal that I've done has been through that. You don't have to be there. Like in order to flip the property to see it in person, you don't have to be there. That just comes to having a good team on the ground. So if you do have a good team on the ground, then you don't have to be there. You never have to be there. And you shouldn't have to be there even if you're flipping in your own backyard. You shouldn't have to be there. I think that comes to like you having to be involved in your business when you really shouldn't have to. It just means you don't have the right people on the ground.
Why? Why don't you think that you should see over the process?
Because unless you like come from that background, like a construction inspector, and you're like the best contractor, best inspector ever, like you know everything about construction, then sure, it makes sense for you to be involved because you're literally the best in America, in the world, whatever. But like if that's not what you are, which most real estate investors aren't, they work full time, they've never know anything about real estate, and then now they want to like visit their project every day. It's like,
what value are you going to add?
what value are you going to add?
Yeah, other than just getting anxiety.
Getting anxiety or getting confused or confusing the team on the ground or making them not like working with you. Then they don't want to work with you anymore. So then they go on take other jobs and like, geez, this guy comes and shows up every day and asks a billion questions when it's like, dude, we got it handled. So at what point do you trust your team on the ground? It sounds like you have a trust issue that you don't trust the person on the ground.
Fair enough. If you had just $1,000 to start a real estate business, how would you do it and can you do it?
If you had just $1,000, you certainly could. That $1,000 would probably go to like making the LLC, to be honest. It'd be like a couple $100 just to make the LLC.
Got the papers.
Once you make the LLC, then you would go find the deal, build a team, and then you would try to raise money from private money lenders.
That's crazy.
So you technically could do it.
It'd go towards your flight to go build a team.
No, you would need to fly to build a team.
You did.
You wouldn't have to do that. You can just do it virtually. So you can make the LLC, then finding the deals and building the team, those are time consuming. The most time consuming part is going to be finding people to give you money when you've never done a deal before. That's going to be the most challenging aspect of it.
And how would you prove yourself if you've never done a deal before? What would you do in that position?
You'd give them a shitload of the profit for very little risk, and they would be able to like vet everything fully pretty much.
And how would you present them, or what would you come to the table with? Like, what kind of plan? What would you do?
I would be like, hey, here's a market we're investing in, and this is all the reasons why. Here's the realtor, property manager, and contractor that I found, and here's all the reasons, how many deals that they've done. Here's the deal that I found, here's all the comps and all the analysis and all this. Now, all I need is you. You're the missing piece. I already have the LLC made. We're going to do a joint venture agreement that I've just made online. We're going to do a joint venture. This is your deal now. So you're going to fund the deal, and you're also going to get 80% of the profits.
You would do an 80-20 split.
Yeah, you'd have to do something crazy.
Is that what you had to do on your first deal?
No, because we started with a little bit of our own money to get some case studies. So we went from you'll fund 100% of the deal and make 50% of the profits. So we would still make half of the profit for doing all the work.
Right.
But it's because we had the rapport in there. Like this person would have to be somebody that really, really wanted to invest in real estate, could never do it on their own. And now you're kind of their like path or road to actually getting there without putting in all the work. So, I mean, for a lot of people, that's a lot of value. If you literally have no money, you don't even need to make the LLC part. It was kind of like a joke. You don't even need the LLC. You can literally go and just do all of these steps, put it in a nice bundle, and go give it to somebody.
Yeah.
But
and I mean, like, even if you gave them 100% of the profits, it wouldn't matter because you now have something under your belt.
Yeah.
Right? So what does it even matter what the profit split is? You're building your reputation.
Yep. Yeah, and then you can build your reputation with their money, and then you can go and get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper money after that.
Yeah. All right. Can you turn $10,000 into $100,000 with real estate investing? And how long would that reasonably take if that was someone's goal?
Got it. So if you wanted to take $10,000 and turn it into $100,000, flipping houses would be the best way to go about that.
Okay.
Average return on investment for a house flip is around 50%. So you invest $50,000. You invest $10,000 to make $5,000.
Okay.
So that'd be a 50% return. So $10,000 turns into $15,000 in 4 months.
Okay.
So then you would just have to keep compounding that over and over and over and over and over again, which would probably take you a couple of years to get from $10,000 to $100,000.
And then once you're at 100,000 to $1 million, does it get easier?
What get easier?
Does it get easier to keep compounding your money, or is it still going to take the same amount of time?
Well, it's going to get faster just because the numbers are bigger, but it'll take less time to make the same amount because you're just playing with more money. But nothing really gets easier about it. It's the same thing. Your first deal is going to be the hardest. The second deal is going to be a little bit easier, a little bit easier. It's going to get a little bit easier, but it's going to get easier because you just have the knowledge, and it's not like you're going through something for the first time.
And so what would be the hard part? What makes it not easy?
What makes it not easy is just like dealing with the lender, dealing with this, dealing with the relationships between everybody. After you do one deal and you're going on to do the next deal, things get a lot easier because everybody kind of trusts. There's almost that like trust built a little bit more between each other. The hard money lender already has your information. They already have the paperwork. You already know what to sign. You know how to sign this. You know the steps, the little tiny steps that aren't talked about, like the notary coming to your house to sign documents, like those kinds of things. So that's why it gets a little bit easier, is just you have the knowledge to where like not every single little decision is taking like a ton of brain power.
And the part that's hard is that it just is always a complicated process?
The part that's hard is that those little steps don't go away. They're just done on autopilot instead of you thinking about it.
Okay, that makes sense. This question's so weird. If you had a weekend to find a great deal, what's the first step you would take?
Weekend to find a great deal would just be Zillow and Redfin and Trulia, or the Flip System app, which just came out too. So you can download the Flip System app. It has deals in there already. You can go ahead, analyze those deals, and then you could send them to your team on the ground. They already come pre-analyzed. So that would be a good step if you're part of that. If you're not, then it would be Zillow and Redfin. I would probably just go and run some manual math on Zillow and Redfin looking for deals. In one weekend, if I'm going to work 10 hours a day per day, like 20 hours, I could find 200 deals.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Why do people think that good deals don't exist if you're saying this?
Because they're looking in the wrong city.
Where should they be looking?
They should be market agnostic. They should go where the good deals are, not where
they
live.
think they should be.
Yeah, or most people just want to invest where they live because it's comfortable and they have less fear and they want to be involved in the process and learn the process. But it's like, what is your learning going to cost you? So like if you're going to, and also you're never going to learn then because you're just going to wait 2 years to actually flip a house in New York or LA or Miami because you're never going to do it.
Yeah.
So like you're saying you want to learn, but you've been waiting 2 years to find the right opportunity to learn. It's like you can learn just as does it really matter? Like you can learn just as much and make even more money by investing in a market that's outside of where you live. And they're focused on learning the wrong things. They're like, I want to learn about construction and inspection. It's like, okay, cool. Let's say you become the best inspector ever. Like,
is that going to make you more money?
Tell me how much money you're going to make. Become the best contractor ever for single family houses. Then what? Like the people who make money in construction are building.
How would you reframe that goal that they have, and what would you say would be a better goal for them to have?
I think the goal should be to learn how to start a business and make money. And it shouldn't be about like learning about construction or which paint to use or this or that. Like it should be around like, how can I build this house flipping business or this real estate business that doesn't have to be there when like that can still run without me being there 24/7. But instead they want to focus. They're like thinking about, there's this thing that's like the technician, manager, and entrepreneur at the top. And everybody's just like, oh, well, guess I got to start at the technician level. So I got to learn like every single little like thing before I can get to the manager where I can manage these people before I can get to the entrepreneur.
But you're saying you don't need to climb that ladder. You can just start being the entrepreneur right away.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what do you feel like is the biggest hurdle for people to get over when they want to invest in their own backyard versus going elsewhere where the money actually makes sense? What is that mental hurdle? Is it literally just fear?
Between investing in their own market and investing out of state?
Yeah, we're somewhere where it could be possible with the amount of money that they have versus investing in New Jersey, let's say, where it's so expensive.
The mental hurdle for sure is that people just feel comfortable investing locally and they just want to see, touch, and feel it. That's it. They just don't want to let that go.
Interesting, because like when you say it out loud like that, it sounds silly. Because there's not much that you can change or do just because you can touch and feel your investment.
Yeah, and that's always my follow-up question. Okay, so let's say we flip the house next door, then what?
Right.
Like problem happens, toilet breaks at 2 a.m., what?
What are you going to do?
Like you're going to go wake up and go fix it? Or like contractor doesn't show up for work, okay, then what?
Same thing. You still got to go call and find someone else. It's the same process.
Yeah, exactly. And so when it's out of state, you have to put those checks and balances in place, but you have that. So it's like, yeah, you're not going to be like overlooking them every single day. You can't do that, but you can like get a weekly update and it's like, cool, you guys didn't do nothing this week. And then, it's the same effect, but it's way less like, it just, you kind of ruin the relationship with the contractor when you're there 24/7. And I've talked to so many contractors in LA that when I was looking at flipping houses there, they were like, we hate working with this lady, man. She comes every single fucking day after work and she checks up on us and it's so annoying. It's like, just let us do our thing.
And the funny thing is the investor thinks they're being responsible by doing that, but really they're just like breathing down their necks.
Yeah, they're ruining the relationship to where like, and then when he gets a bid, right, for the next job, and like she's like, hey, can you help me do this property or whatever? Like he looks at the name on the client and he's like, fuck, I'm gonna charge an extra $5,000 for this lady, like
just for an inconvenience fee.
just because every single time I have to explain why I'm doing this, doing that, like it's then slowing down my work. So
oh my god,
or he's just like, I'm not gonna quote it, or he's just gonna make the price astronomical, and then those people are like, oh, he's so expensive, I'm gonna go to the cheapest guy now. And then they just go down and then they just like keep ruining these relationships. So it's really a relationship business, and it's hard for a lot of people to grasp that like you can have more power in a relationship out of state by like being free and flowing and like and then I'm the perfect example of that where I like trusted all the teams on the ground. It's like how many teams have screwed me over? Like 2?
Yeah, out of how many that you've used?
Yeah, or like let's say 2 deals have been screwed over, 3 deals have been screwed over, whatever, out of 600.
Yeah.
So it's like 1% of the deal. Let's say it's 6 deals. Like
it's less than 1%. Yeah.
1% of the deals that I've been screwed over on So it's like you're doing all this stuff for like this 1% chance, but you don't have any of the upside because you're never going to be able to scale. Like that team's never gonna be like, I love working with her. She always comes and checks up on me and doesn't think that we're doing the work, and like said no one ever.
What would you do differently if you had a full-time job, kids, a family to take care of, and only 1 hour a day to work on real estate? You have $40,000 saved up and 1 hour a day to create a real estate business, but you still have a full-time job, you have kids and a family to take care of. What would you do?
1 hour a day, I would probably focus my time on choosing the market, building a team. So that'd be the first thing that I would do. 1 hour a day, I would call realtors, property managers, contractors, choose the market. Boom. Once that's done, I would go on Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, try to find deals there, send them to the team on the ground to get feedback. And then my goal would be to house flip. Since I only have $40,000, I would try to buy the house, renovate it, rent it out, and sell it. If I can't sell it, I would refinance it and move it into the next one. I could do all of that with 1 hour per day.
I feel like most people don't believe that you can invest in real estate with $40,000. Can you please prove them wrong?
You can definitely invest in real estate with $40,000. If you go look up on Google, cities in America below $100,000, like I don't know, 80% of the map is yellow of like
But
places
why don't
that you
people
can
get
invest.
that? Every single time you post something about investing in real estate and you mention how much money it takes, everyone's in the comments like, that's not possible. Where are you going?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't think that it's possible to invest in places that houses are still $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, but there still are tons of markets today that you can invest in that kind of price range.
Where are you currently investing right now?
The Midwest mostly, so Detroit, St. Louis, Cleveland, Akron, Cincinnati, Toledo, Dayton, and there's tons and tons and tons of deals. If you go through my YouTube channel and look at all the people that I've interviewed that are having success out of state, like none of them are like, yeah, I can never find deals. Like they're like, yeah, it would take. I had got one of them to say you would take trillions of dollars to renovate the city.
Beautiful. And what do you look for? What's the criteria you look for when investing in a new city?
Criteria I look for when investing in a new city is I want to have a good price to rent ratio. So I want the average home price to be around $100,000, average rent to be around $1,000. That's what I look for. I look for something that's just like stable in population, not growing too much. And then I look for some sort of like turnover or change that I can see or foresee in the next 5, 10, 15 years.
And what do you look for to see if the city's going to grow and change? How do you find that out?
By going and visiting there eventually. So for me, I just want like stable demographics, and then
Okay.
once I go there, it's almost like a gut feeling, like, oh shit, this is going to change, and that I was kind of right about that with Cleveland with some neighborhoods, and then
Yeah.
Memphis, Tennessee, I was right about that one. Now I think
You don't even
Detroit
invest in Memphis anymore because it's gotten too expensive now,
got too
right?
expensive. Cleveland, Ohio got too expensive as well.
That's
Cincinnati
crazy.
got way too expensive.
Is
so those
Detroit
are,
next?
Detroit, St. Louis, and then like there's other markets like in Ohio that I think like smaller cities that I think could kind of turn over
Yeah, that's crazy.
to. Yep.
And what is that gut feeling? Like there has to be some sort of logic behind it, or like what is that feeling for you?
It's almost like the feeling of community wanting to change and wanting to make that city better. And then big developers coming in and starting to do unique projects where they're taking like Detroit, especially taking old warehouses and turning them into restaurants, old fire stations, turning them into 5-star hotels, like those little things that are like, oh shit, like these people are investing big money, and then people are going there and flocking there, and it's getting written up, and it's kind of like super low key because it's Detroit, and it's just like all the articles are kind of just getting swept under the rug because it's like, oh, it's Detroit though, I'm never going to go there.
What's crazy is that people have such different expectations of what they think a city like Detroit is.
Yeah.
And even me, like I was scared to go, but I remember feeling so safe downtown walking
Yeah.
at night alone. And I was also so impressed by all like the Michelin star restaurants and like just the experience of the city itself. It was amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a great city, and there's a lot of other cities in America like that. Like,
That people are just like under the radar. They don't
Yeah.
they don't even recognize, and they're so cheap.
yep.
Do you think that there's also a connection between where artists move to where a city is going to develop and do really well?
I do. I mean, you kind of saw that with Nashville, but there's no other city like that in
I mean,
America.
it happened with Memphis way back as well.
Way back, but the reason for Memphis blowing up is that, or just going up in price, is that I think the main reason why Memphis kind of blew up or kind of scaled up a ton was just because there was so much redevelopment of the single family houses for so long.
Do you feel like you were part of that at all? Do you feel like you influenced it at all?
In one zip code, I definitely was part of it, but there's other like larger companies, guys that have done a ton of deals that were investing in the other areas. So they just had a ton of residential like redevelopers like doing a lot of the suburbs, and it became like a really nice suburban area. Like the Memphis downtown and close to that area is not nice, but everything outside of that was really, really nice and really enjoyable because people had redeveloped a ton of the housing stock.
Crazy. Can you buy a house using only your network and no cash?
Someone could, but it's going to be really, really tough to do it on your first deal without having a case study. So I'm a big proponent of doing some deals, trying to get creative with those deals as much as you possibly can, building case studies, and then people are going to be throwing money at you after they see like you've done 3 house flips in this city or this zip code or this street, and now you want to do another one. It's really easy to raise money that way.
How would you find your first real estate deal if you lived in a super expensive market?
If I lived in a super expensive market, the way that I would find my first deal would be by not looking in that market. It'd be by looking into another market. I'd go on Google and type the cheapest cities or cheapest cities below $100,000 or $150,000. I'd go find those cities, go on Zillow, Redfin, Truly, and find deals on there that I kind of like. In B and C class neighborhoods, and that's where I would start. I definitely wouldn't invest in a super expensive market, especially with the interest rates where they are.
And why not? Because I feel like some people think that if they invest in an expensive market, they're going to have better clients as renters, or they're going to have like more high quality tenants. So why not if you're going to have maybe like a better experience as a landlord?
Yeah, you may have a better experience, but your wallet's not going to have a better experience. So like okay, let's take that to the extreme. So then you should buy a $10 million house and rent it for $100,000 per month.
That's going to be tough to find someone.
Exactly. So I think like that, and then that's going to be really, really tough to find somebody. Also, like when you have to renovate that property when the tenant leaves, that's going to be really, really expensive.
Your turnover cost is going to be crazy, yeah.
Yeah. And then on the super, super low end, I also don't want to rent to people that have like, on the super, super low end is kind of like Section 8 renters, right? Who have no income at all, but then the government, which is almost like, it's pretty good because you get like some guaranteed rent. And then right in the middle is pretty good, or like a couple steps above that is pretty good, like $100,000-$200,000 houses for $1,000 a month. But then cash flow stops right around $200,000. So if you buy a property above $200,000, the cash flow kind of ends right there. So $200,000 all the way up to $100 million. Houses don't really cash flow. So you might have a better tenant. Yeah, great, but you're losing money every month.
Interesting. And so then at that point, you're just banking on appreciation and hoping that the investment does well.
You pretty much are fully banking on appreciation and hoping and praying that like if something happens to the property that the tenant will kind of fix it on their own. You don't have to be involved. And that's why people are like, oh, I want better tenants that take care of stuff. It's like, well, they better, or else you're going to lose money.
And that's a dangerous position to be in if you're relying on someone's kindness to do a job versus knowing that you have money because you didn't spend it all in purchasing the property to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of landlords in that price range, $1 million, $2 million, they try to rent out the property.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, whatever, HVAC, well, yeah, you can take care of it. They kind of like have that mentality about it. It's like, dude, but they're a tenant. And a lot of them too, like, will also try Airbnb. They'll try this. Like, they have to get really, really creative on how to make money with their deal.
Would you, when renting out a property, list it for cheaper than what the market is going for to try to get like a bidding war or have your best pick of which tenant to put in?
I like to place it just right at the market rent or a little bit below, sure, to try to get as many applications as I can. But what I do typically is list it for right around the market rent and then take professional photos to like make my listing look a lot better than the competition, and that's how I kind of get it. So you don't have to really reduce your rent to get that. You should like make your property look better than everybody else by taking professional photos.
I once heard that it's better to list your rent a little bit below market value.
Yeah.
This way you don't have it sitting empty for a month, because a vacant month is going to wipe out the extra $25-$50 on top of the rent.
And also, if you have a vacant, you want to rent the house out as quick as you can.
Yeah.
It also prevents break-ins. So if you have like a house
Oh,
listed
yeah.
for rent or even listed for sale, but especially listed for rent because you have like the HVAC, hot water tank, this thing, that thing already in the property. So
How do people steal a hot water tank?
how?
Yeah.
They break through the door and then they go to the basement, they take the hot water tank and they load it
But
up
it's
into
so
a truck.
heavy.
Yeah, but I mean, it got down there one way. It's not aliens that came and installed it. So the human beings who took it down there, this similar human being with a different name took it out of there. So it's pretty self-explanatory.
I thought like a crane would come and put it in when the house is built. I forgot they replace every 10 to 15 years.
You thought a crane installed a hot water tank?
It does seem kind of magical how it ends up down there, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It's fucking a human being goes to Home Depot, he puts it in his truck and he puts it in the house.
How many people does it take to install a hot water tank?
Like one or two.
That's it?
Yeah, and that's
Okay, maybe 4 of me. 1 or 2 of you.
20 of you. But yeah. You're like those little marshmallows in the movie last night.
Little marshmallows. Okay. This one's kind of similar to the one I already asked you. Ooh, if you were 18 again, how would you get started in real estate investing knowing what you know today?
I probably wouldn't have tried to invest in my own backyard. I would have went right to investing out of state. But I probably would have done pretty much 90% of what I did exactly the same way.
Oh.
There maybe is a couple of things that I would have changed that I would have done that I wouldn't have done. But really, really fine tuning just what I did and I probably would have just done it way faster.
Like you would just jump into the exact flow you have right now.
Yeah. Instead of like trying all these different things like wholesaling, luxury fix and flips in LA, doing this, doing that, like exploring all these different options.
Right.
I would have just decluttered it and just been like, no, this is the way.
And what is the way?
The way is out of state, turnkey fix and flip. So buying the house, renovating it, renting it out, and then selling it. If you can't sell it, refinance it. Using other people's money to fund those deals, whether it's hard money or private money. And then just scaling up that business as much as you can and get it to where you feel comfortable. Like could be 3 deals a month, could be 30 deals per month, whatever you want. You can pick the size of business that you want. That's going to make you a certain amount of money. Then with that money, you could buy multifamily or start another business, whatever.
What's your favorite housing market to invest in 2024?
2024, my favorite housing markets, Detroit, St. Louis, Cleveland, Akron, Dayton, Toledo, those kinds of markets, Midwest.
If you had to flip a house with just your cell phone and internet access, could you do it, and how would you do it?
Yes, you definitely could, especially with the Flip System app that just came out. It came out on the App Store, but now it allows you to analyze deals, make offers, communicate with your team, and manage your entire investment from start to finish, all within the mobile app.
All on your cell phone.
Yep.
So you don't have to like open up a spreadsheet to analyze stuff?
You don't need a spreadsheet anymore. No more email, no more text message, no more phone calls. Everything start to finish can be done in there.
That's insane.
Yep.
And so you can literally be like a remote traveling you could do wherever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, that's what a lot of people are, right? They flip houses, invest out of state, and they do want to travel. So we thought we would just make it as easy as possible, as much as we possibly could.
If you were just starting out with no connections in real estate, how would you go about finding a mentor or finding out like what to even do, where to start? There's so many things to do in real estate. You could do subject to, you could do Section 8, you can do fix and flips, you could do long-term rentals, Airbnb. Like where do you start? How do you know who to trust? And how do you find your mentor?
I think it all starts with what your goal is. So people that I talk to, it's either like take my $50,000 and turn it into $500,000 and then I can do other things, or it's I want to take my $500,000 and make it into a portfolio of cash flow just to make $5,000 to $10,000 per month. So depending on where you're starting, you're going to have to do something different. So you have below $100,000, you're going to have to buy something and sell it. It's the only way you're going to ever.
You have to flip.
You have to flip. In my opinion, you have to flip. You can also say oh, you can wholesale and stuff like that. You can try. That's pretty much a full-time job. Flipping houses, you can empower other people to help grow your business. So I would start with fix and flip if you have below $100,000. If you have over $100,000, now you can start thinking maybe about the BRRRR strategy, buy and hold strategy, especially if you have income coming in from your job.
Cool. How do you flip a house when there is either a market crash or a recession? Is it possible? Or does your business kind of have to take a break?
So your business definitely shouldn't take a break because people still need a place to live even during a recession. And during a recession, instead of people renting out a $2,000 3-bedroom house, they rent out a $1,000 house. So my business model where you buy the house, renovate it, rent it out for anything from $800 a month to $1,500 per month.
Well, that's where it works, actually.
Yeah, it's actually great during a recession. In 2008, they saw that market, actually the occupancy went up during that time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, occupancy actually went up for these B and C class neighborhoods around $1,000 because people left their left their luxury stuff and moved back into a single family house. So if you can rent to those if you in that business model year in year out,
so stable,
it doesn't matter.
That's interesting why people associate luxury with more stability when really that's actually the opposite.
It's way less stable.
What is the perception with that?
I just think because people think it's a higher quality tenant. But there's way more people that are at that other price range.
Exactly.
Because it could take you rent a house in Hermosa Beach for $10,000 a month. How many people can afford that? Not many people can afford that.
It's going to be on the market for a little bit, and you're going to have patience and money to be able to fund that.
Yep. And also those people too, can afford to go and buy a home, or they may be just doing that for 6 months, 12 months to be
temporary,
buy a house.
Yeah.
The other people are they're not going to buy a house. They're going to be forever renters.
So you could actually have someone lifelong and build that relationship with someone.
Yeah.
And not have to ever have your house on the market again.
Yep. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
If you enjoyed this and want more free content, I posted a 1.5 hour free course on my YouTube channel. It's gonna show up on the screen right now. Go and watch that.